the superhero origin film. It lets us step back to the humble beginnings of these iconic characters and say,
so that's how it happened.
we get to watch them hone their powers, get their costume, and adopt a new persona that comes with its very own superhero name.
Hey, you know what? There's another name you might know me by.
Batboy, Nightwing. I don't know, what do you think?
I think that the four of us should have a name.
Maybe it's just me, but I think there's something really special about hearing the name for the first time.
Deadpool.
It's the one thing in these films we can always count on. You see, when making a superhero movie, directors are given a lot of leeway to play around with the lore, maybe sometimes too much. These changes can be as drastic as altering their abilities and abandoning their costumes.
What would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
Life-changing events that shape their worldview can be portrayed so differently from iteration to iteration that they may as well be entirely different characters.
All those powers. And I couldn't even save him.
Sometimes these changes can work. Other times, they're tornadoes. My point is, you can change a lot of things about a superhero to make them fit the kind of movie you want to make, but you can't change the name.
Is it too late to change the name?
You can, however, choose how you'd like to introduce it. And I'm fascinated with all the different approaches that filmmakers have taken. I think it can be a real art form. Some choose to make it a spectacle, while others keep it personal.
Yeah, I flew in like a robin.
It can be played for laughs,
Star-Lord.
Who?
or for ending the movie on a dramatic
Frank
note.
Castle is dead. Call me the Punisher.
The hero, or villain, could come up with the name themselves.
You can call me
The Riddler.
Others may have it bestowed upon them, sometimes out of
The
respect,
children have affectionately called X-Men.
sometimes as an insult,
Two-Face, Harvey Two-Face.
or it could be a title that they inherit.
The Black Panther has been the protector of Wakanda for generations.
The name could also be referenced in the abstract and embraced later.
I've had a vision. Why does your vision sound like Jarvis?
No matter what tone or method a movie goes for, I think the biggest challenge of a successful superhero naming is making sure it's notable, but feels very natural. This is what we're going to be calling the character, and it deserves a meaningful introduction. We don't want the origin to be lame.
Your Delta Tau Chi name is Pinto.
Why Pinto?
Why not?
Max Power.
Oh, hey, great name.
Yeah, isn't it? I got it off a hairdryer.
One tried and true approach is to have characters named by the press.
Green Goblin, you like that?
Mr. Jameson.
Made it up myself. These weirdos all gotta have a name now.
The press is already referring to the alleged attacker by a dark name.
How about Rocketeer?
A source close to the case. The Horde.
The Sandman.
Mystery Man.
That's realistic. The media does come up with catchy nicknames for easier public consumption. See Octomom, Balloon Boy, countless sports stars, celebrity couple names. It's also been an investigative tool for police since the days of Jack the Ripper. A clever nickname is memorable and keeps public interest.
You're the Bay Harbor Butcher. I really hate that name.
Name origins and alter egos occur across all kinds of entertainment.
Could you tell me your name? Doubtfire.
Vader. Gojira.
Calvin Klein?
The Kingslayer!
Jamie. My name's Jamie.
But today, I'd like to focus on the art of the superhero name in cinema, starting with the most game-changing name drop there is.
I am Iron Man.
Okay, let's back up a minute. So seeing a character's new moniker appearing on the news or in headlines is a safe route to take. However, having Tony blurt out this revelation to everyone's surprise was anything but. That ending is so satisfying, and the idea of ditching secret identities definitely kicked off this Marvel Cinematic Universe in an unexpected direction. It told us these are movies that would be inspired by the comics, but not beholden by them. This revolutionary choice was actually improvised by Robert Downey Jr. Producer Kevin Feige thought it was so in character for Tony to go off script, they kept it as the ending and used it as inspiration in future films. This moment is why they didn't even bother with Thor's secret identity of Dr. Donald Blake, aside from a small Easter egg. Look at that, ripping the name right off if it wasn't obvious enough for you. This was a brilliant superhero name reveal. Now Tony wouldn't have to go sneaking around, lying to people about where he's been, or fear being publicly unmasked. Not that I'm against the secret identity trope, it's a staple of the genre and can add a layer of suspense. But after so many movies of heroes having to conceal their true selves, it was extremely refreshing to see a character get asked about their alter ego and just totally own it. Iron Man and Tony Stark were free to embrace the celebrity superhero lifestyle, and we, the audience, could vicariously do the same. Final rating, A+. Now, for contrast, let's take a look at another flagship superhero whose movie launched its own cinematic universe.
Colonel Hardy's on his way in and he's got Superman in tow.
Superman?
The alien, sir. That's what they're calling him, Superman.
There it is. That's the only time anyone says Superman in the entire movie. But that's not really a problem. They only say Iron Man in the final scene, after all.
Iron Man, that's kind of catchy. It's got a nice ring to it.
No, the problem is, it's dull and forgettable. Did you even remember it? I get that the film is going for a very grounded aesthetic, which is ironic, because it is a flying scene. But this feels more like the movie is embarrassed to even say the S word, and tries to intentionally gloss over it. Maybe one day Zack Snyder remembered he was making a Superman movie and thought, oh yeah, I guess someone should call him Superman, so they included this out of obligation. To be fair, the movie is called Man of Steel, and Henry Cavill is only credited as playing Clark/Kal-El. So, I guess technically they didn't have to include the name Superman at all. But they teased us earlier with this scene.
Well, here it's an S. How about...
Sir?
And I remember thinking, okay, they're saving it for a cool reveal later, but nope. Also, the phrasing is lazy and vague. That's what they're calling him. Who is they? The press? The military? Whoever's on the other end of that phone? I don't have any problem with the "they call him whatever" line, but be specific.
Most of the intelligence community doesn't believe he exists. The ones that do call him the Winter Soldier.
Boys in the trenches called her Dr. Poison.
They call me Mr. Glass at school because I break like glass.
The tabloids call him Captain Boomerang.
No one's going to be looking back at this moment and say,
so that's how it happened.
I really wish they had just leaned into it completely here, since it's usually Lois that's responsible for naming Superman anyway.
Do you have a first name?
What do you mean, like Ralph or something?
Oh, good night.
Superman the movie, awestruck after finishing their interview with a flight around Metropolis, she coins the term.
What a Superman.
In the animated series, she gets the name from referencing Nietzsche.
That's the ideal all wrapped up in a red cape. Superman.
Superman? Hey, I like it. Superman.
And I love the reveal in Superman Birthright. After making himself known to the world for the first time, Jimmy Olsen says, "Who is that guy?" And boom, Superman.
It's catchy, sticks with you, the kind of name that looks great splashed across 3 columns.
Turning this page was a more exciting moment than this $225 million movie. If for whatever reason they didn't want Lois to say the word Superman, they still could have made it a charming transition that implies she named him. They could even use the same footage, just edited together a little differently.
Well, here it's an S. How about...
Superman?
The alien, sir. That's what they're calling him, Superman.
The fact that Man of Steel seems so reluctant to simply name the titular hero had me worried about this DCEU pretty early on. Something was off, and the treatment of the superhero name was a big clue. While Iron Man dove in headfirst and had fun with it, Man of Steel played it coy, and unfortunately the result is pretty tepid and unremarkable. Final rating, participation trophy. Man of Steel tried something different for Superman. It was worse, but it was different, and I do appreciate them attempting something new. Superman has had 5 other films at this point, but this is Iron Man's first, so there were probably a lot of expectations to live up to or subvert. When we get new versions of characters, we also get new name reveals that want to be unique in their own way. Which brings us to the superhero who has had more big screen adaptations than anyone else. Batman has been very consistent over the years. He chooses what to be called and uses the reveal to intimidate criminals and make a name for himself. Batman 1989 and Batman Begins are pretty similar scenes. In both movies, he preys on criminals' fear and appears more monster than man. He even gets the same setup.
What are you?
I'm Batman.
What the hell are you?
I'm Batman.
The similarities stop in the delivery. Both are scary, but for different reasons. Michael Keaton's is an eerily calm and quiet whisper, while Christian Bale's is more menacing and aggressive. And while Burton's Batman is more like a comic book with a heightened sense of style and atmosphere, Nolan's goes for a harsher and more realistic approach. Honestly, I love both and think they complement each other well. Each get a final rating of 2 bat thumbs up. By the time we get to Ben Affleck's Batman, he's been operating in Gotham for years.
20 years in Gotham, Alfred. How many good guys are left?
So, like Val Kilmer and George Clooney, and even Adam West for that matter, it's understandable that a big dramatic name reveal would be a bit redundant in this world. That said, this is a new reboot of the character, and could have been a great opportunity to come up with fresh and creative ways to incorporate his signature line. Studios have done the same thing with James Bond 26 times.
Mr.
Bond. Bond. It's Bond. Bond. It's Bond. It's Bond. James Bond.
The trick is to have him introduce himself to characters who don't recognize him.
Who's that?
Don't know what his abilities are.
What are your superpowers again?
Or don't even believe he exists.
Didn't think you were real.
So many missed opportunities to have the Dark Knight declare his true identity with the most famous name reveal line there is.
Who are you to defy? I'm Batman. I'm Batman.
I am Batman!
That's too bad.
Nobody cares about Clark Kent taking on the Batman.
Batman has his particular way of going public. Let's look at a different hero who changes it up. The name reveal in the first Spider-Man movie is absolutely perfect. We're at this over-the-top wrestling event, an environment where contenders are known for creating alter egos and costumes, so Peter coming up with his own makes total sense. We get the subversion that he wanted to be called the Human Spider, but gets renamed by the announcer at the last second.
What's your name, kid?
The Human Spider.
The Human Spider, that's it? That's the best you got?
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
Then comes that sweet Bruce Campbell voice proclaiming the name we all came here to see.
The Amazing Spider-Man!
See that? They even got the amazing in there, and it totally works.
Oh, he got my name wrong.
Get out there, you moron!
But it doesn't stop there. The name has superb build-up over the next few scenes. We see it catch on with the public, the press.
Who is Spider-Man?
Even the villain uses it.
Meet again, Spider-Man!
And finally, the hero himself embraces it.
Who are you?
Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Great name treatment, great movie, great power, great responsibility. Final rating? It's great. Spidey's next iteration comes in The Amazing Spider-Man. He makes his first appearance stopping a carjacker, but the scene falls short of naming the hero. Later, at the Stacy dinner table, this kid asks,
Oh yeah, Dad, did you catch that spider guy yet?
No.
so was he already calling himself Spider-Man? Or Spider Guy? He made a costume with a spider on his chest, so he must have put some thought into the name, right? Finally, after saving some folks on a bridge, he proclaims his title.
Who are you? Spider-Man.
Okay, proclaims might be an exaggeration. He kind of mumbles it. I think it's supposed to be the moment Peter embraces being a hero and takes on the name of Spider-Man for the first time, but if that's the case, why did this kid call him Spider Guy?
Did you catch that spider guy yet?
But then, if he's already been identifying himself as Spider-Man, why is he so hesitant to say it here?
Spider-Man.
Again, while I appreciate that the movie goes for a drastically different take than its predecessor, ultimately, it falls flat for me. Like comparing an abandoned wrestling ring to a big, exciting wrestling event, it just feels empty. It is amusing that a movie called Spider-Man manages to introduce its hero as The Amazing Spider-Man, but a movie called The Amazing Spider-Man chooses to just say Spider-Man. Huh. Hey, real quick, what do you think the plan was for these suits at the end of Amazing Spider-Man 2? Were they just gonna pass them out, like Rhino, and say, hey, you're Dr. Octopus now, you, take these wings, you're the Vulture. You can't just pass out equipment and start assigning villain names.
Yeah. Now you're the Shocker.
Oh, I guess you can, never mind. Now we're up to our third and current Spider-Man, first introduced in Captain America Civil War.
You're the Spiderling. Crime-fighting spider. You're Spider-Boy?
Spider-Man.
Not in that onesie, you're not.
This does a good job of showing that Peter is humbled by the title, but still proud of it since he corrects Tony. And even though it feels lackluster, like Batman's first name drop in the DCEU, we didn't get to be here for his origin story. So all the excitement that comes with creating the new identity has passed. One could even argue that the only Spider-Man name reveal we ever needed was this one.
Amazing Spider-Man!
His introduction to the big screen. And all the rest have been superfluous. Wonder Woman shows up and no one ever says her name. This is forgivable, since she's essentially a tease for future movies, similar to Black Widow in Iron Man 2.
What's your name, lady?
Rushman, Natalie Rushman.
Front and center. Come into the church.
Even though Natasha has way more character interaction and effect on the plot, the name Black Widow isn't said until the Avengers, and then it's in another language. But Black Widow is nowhere near the same level of cultural recognition as Wonder Woman, so I'd expect them to save Diana's superhero name reveal for her own solo film. Fair enough. Except no one ever says it then either! They do a good job of setting up her secret identity.
Diana, Princess of Themyscira.
Prince, Diana Prince.
But nothing for the name Wonder Woman. Not even a half-hearted pun using the word wonder. And I don't buy the excuse that Wonder Woman is too ridiculous of a name to translate well to live action. First, I could just point to this exchange from the pilot of the TV show.
Go in peace, my daughter. And remember that in the world of ordinary mortals, you are a Wonder Woman.
Second, I recognize that not every superhero name has the same hurdles to overcome in regards to how realistic it is that such a moniker would be coined, and Wonder Woman would be a tough one to just guess.
You know, I feel really bad not knowing your name. Maybe I could guess. Is it, Mildred? Okay, no. How about Diana? Rachel?
Wonder Woman, call her Wonder Woman. But my friends, if we can make Captain America work, we can make anything work. It's just a shame because, like this new Batman, the opportunities to include the name Wonder Woman were there. We've established that the movie has no problem saying silly names.
The boys in the trenches called her Dr. Poison.
And we've learned that the boys in the trenches come up with nicknames. Maybe we could use that. How about when the photographer is taking her photo? He could ask, "Miss, what do the W's stand for?" And she'd say, "They are not W's." And Steve Trevor would be like, they do look like W's. Somebody says, "Wonder Woman." Everybody laughs, it catches on, people hear stories about this Wonder Woman on the battlefield. Fast forward to the end of the movie.
What are you?
I am Wonder Woman. Instead, it's this.
What are you?
You will soon find out.
Which is pretty cliche.
With a dry, cool wit like that, I could be an action hero.
I think the moment would have hit way harder as a chance to see her embrace the name. Like when Steve Rogers leads his first rescue mission.
Who are you supposed to be? Captain America.
He knows the name is silly and still a representation of government-sponsored pro-war propaganda, but he also understands that it's more famous than Steve Rogers. The troops see Cap's movies and read his comics. They know they can trust Captain America. And so can we. Gold star. Meanwhile, Warner Brothers stole Batman's What Are You name setup, gave it to Wonder Woman, and she didn't even use it. No star. And this is where I start to feel like I'm alone in this. For all the reviews or discussions I heard talking about this movie, saying it was inspiring, fun, thrilling, charming, and earnest, and they're not wrong, but not one deemed it important enough to note that no one ever calls her by her superhero name. But I'd honestly rather have this than nothing. Does anyone else care about stuff like this? Is it just me? I can only hope they do justice to the name Wonder Woman in future films. And speaking of justice, let's talk about X-Men.
Logan, I'd like you to meet Aurora Monroe, also called Storm. This is Scott Summers, also called Cyclops.
They're just politely introduced like we're watching a play or something. Wolverine's is pretty good. Wolverine! But everyone else is so bland. I guess when you have this many super names, they can't take up much time, but still, you'd think we could do better than meeting like we're at a cocktail party.
Call me Iceman.
Now, it could also be argued, like some of our previous examples, these characters have been operating under codenames for a while. Even Rogue has already come up with her own alias while on the run.
So what kind of a name is Rogue?
What kind of a name is Wolverine?
Would have been nice to see the name's origin, but I guess in this world, all mutants pick what they feel is their true name after discovering their abilities. At least it seems implied in several moments through the series.
What's your name?
John.
What's your real name, John?
Pyro.
Raven, I asked you a question.
I don't answer to my slave name.
So let's go back in the timeline to X-Men First Class and see how characters actually come up with their codenames. Maybe here they each have a unique experience that inspired—
You should think of code names. I want to be called Mystique.
Darwin's
Banshee. Angel.
Nope. They just sit in a circle, each one coming up with the perfect name on the first try in the moment. Feels more obligatory than organic. Like we're just going down a checklist and getting them out of the way. I really would have appreciated a little more backstory on how they chose each name, like when Nightcrawler explains it's his stage name from the circus. It's kind of reminiscent of the moment a pre-Captain America Chris Evans as Johnny Storm names all the members of the Fantastic Four.
So what are your superhero names?
They call me the Human Torch.
Just one after the other.
What about the rest of the team?
That's the Invisible Girl.
What about your leader?
But I think this works, because he's being interviewed live and comes up with the names on the spot, which explains why they're, not very good.
What is that? What do you call that thing?
That's it.
The Thing. I wish First Class had done something where the team members named each other, like when all the Viper pilots on the Battlestar Galactica come up with Athena's call sign.
Listen up! We need a call sign for Lieutenant Agathon. Chrome Dome! How about Athena? Digital Day! Wait. What was that?
You know, the goddess of wisdom and war.
Athena it is.
They do this with Beast, and it's the best name reveal in the whole movie.
I got a new name for you. Beast.
Realistic and respectful. No time for fanfare, but it works. First Class does finish strong with the origin of the team name.
We're still on the government side, Maura. Still G-Men, just without the G.
X-Men.
And a nice embrace by Magneto.
Eric, I believe.
I prefer Magneto.
One more thing. I'm not an X-Men expert, but what's the deal with this part?
Stage name is Angel. Kind of fits. You can fly? Uh-huh.
First of all, those are not angel wings. And angels aren't known for spitting fireballs. And there's already a mutant called Angel. What's going on here? Her name should be something like Dragonfly, because she's got insect wings and spits fire. Am I crazy? It just doesn't make any sense to me, I don't know. But hey, movies featuring entire super teams can be tricky. You've got all the individual team member names, and then the name of the team itself.
What's the name of this group?
The Super Dudes. No. We're not the Super Dudes. We don't have a name yet, but we're definitely not the Super Dudes.
That's when we arrive at the Avengers. They were pretty smart about this. Thanks to everyone's previous solo film, the names are already well known. Except Black Widow and Hawkeye, but we got them eventually.
Where's Agent Barton?
Hawk. Up in his nest as usual.
Even the team name has been said since the first movie.
I'm here to talk to you about the Avenger Initiative.
Is this about the Avengers?
The Avengers. That's what we call ourselves. Sort of like a team. Earth's mightiest heroes type thing.
I really like the way they handled the Hulk's name too. That's a tough one to incorporate naturally because it's not obvious, like...
How about green meaning?
In The Incredible Hulk, it's referenced on the news. Then it's embraced by General Ross before announced by Hulk in his famous catchphrase.
Hulk! Smash!
Bruce Banner is hesitant to use it later, which makes perfect sense because he sees the Hulk as a burden to keep bottled up inside him.
So you're saying that the Hulk, the other guy, saved my life?
Even just speaking the name aloud feels like breathing life into the Hulk. I dig this method of using a name abstractly and then embracing it later. War Machine is another great example. In Iron Man 2, it just seems like a throwaway line to anyone not familiar with the character.
We don't have to do this, Tony.
You want to be the War Machine? Take your shot.
Put it down!
They do the same thing with Scarlet Witch in Age of Ultron.
That little witch is messing with your mind.
But unlike Scarlet Witch, War Machine catches on and even gets debated in Iron Man 3.
Taking the guy they call War Machine and giving him a paint job.
And they also renamed him Iron Patriot.
I am Iron Patriot.
Listen, War Machine was a little too aggressive.
If I was building Iron Man and War Machine,
It's Iron Patriot now.
that's way cooler.
No, it's not.
Falcon is all business, seen on a folder and then confirmed by Maria Hill.
Falcon, status?
Engaging!
Fun fact, in both the Avengers and X-Men movies, Quicksilver goes unnamed. Did I say fun? I meant sad. Speaking of sad, by the time we get to Justice League, it seems only Superman and Batman have public personas. Aquaman is apparently known around this fishing village.
The Aquaman.
But Diana doesn't have a superhero name, and the word Flash isn't in this movie a single time. How you've had the Flash and Wonder Woman in 3 movies now, and neither have their proper name just baffles me. We saw in Suicide Squad that Barry Allen is thwarting robberies.
No honor among thieves, eh?
Surely the police or other criminals have heard about this Flash that's catching crooks. How about we have Barry's
You're the Batman?
countered with Bruce saying you're the Flash. Done. Then it would also highlight Batman's detective skills instead of this.
I know you have abilities. I just don't know what they are.
So let me throw this weapon at your face and see what happens. Superman and Wonder Woman could have an exchange where he says his symbol is actually hope, but on Earth it looks like an S, so people call him Superman. And Diana could be like, the same thing happened to me. They thought these were W's. They could share a laugh and maybe give these characters an actual friendship. All thanks to the names. There's a brief moment where Bruce refers to Victor Stone as the Cyborg.
Find the cyborg?
And it's an ADR shot of 2 characters' backs. But it's not intended to be a name. Except, if we go back to Batman v Superman and look at this scene, we see that Lex has not only created their logos, but perhaps their names as well? Look at the files. Diana's ends with WW. Victor's ends with CY. Arthur's is AQ. Barry's is FL. Why? Pretty sure FL don't stand for Barry Allen. And they never even name their team. Yes, it's a very cheesy name, but just have Barry say it. Everyone can roll their eyes and refer to it as the League from then on. Just make an attempt. There's no way it can be worse than
Some kind of Suicide Squad.
the Guardians of the Galaxy is a cheesy name. Ronan is the first one to say it, albeit mockingly.
You're Guardians of the Galaxy!
But it's followed up by a pretty badass name embrace.
How? Said it yourself, bitch. We're the Guardians of the Galaxy.
But still, no Wonder Woman, no The Flash, no one ever says Justice League in the Justice League movie? DC, you've had great name reveals in the past. The Flash TV show has the whole running gag with Cisco giving villains code names.
Captain Cold.
You gotta stop naming these guys.
Your animated series embraced name origins. Even Smallville made the effort.
What do you guys call your team? Something with the word justice in it.
So why are your movies treating the names like they're yellow spandex? Don't you want to save your universe?
Maybe he doesn't know what he has to do! What do I have to do? He has to give me a new name. He's already chosen it. He just has to call it out.
Why did you say that name?
Atreyu, no! Atreyu! Bastian. Why don't you do what you dream, Bastian? But I can't! I have to keep my feet on the ground! Call my name! Bastian! Please! Save us! Alright! I'll do it! I'll save you! I will do what I dream!
I am Aquaman.
The metahuman dubbed by social media as the Aquaman.
Wait, for real?
Say the key! Call me Black Manta.
You may call me Meryl.
Call me Ocean Master.
His name is Captain Sparklefingers.
No, it's not. That's not my name.
What a remarkable thing to happen. Aquaman, of all heroes, is full of characters that passionately embrace their proper names, no matter how silly. DC follows it up with Shazam, a hero who announces his name every time he transforms. Meanwhile, Marvel releases their own superheroine film where no one ever calls her by her title, and they were doing so well.
How the turntables.
My friends, agree or disagree with the opinions I've laid out here, it's my hope you walk away from this video with a greater understanding and appreciation for all the effort that goes into a significant and meaningful name origin. Many are getting it right, and those who have faltered in the past seem to be back on track. The future looks promising, but still, we must remain vigilant. We must protect, encourage, and preserve our superhero titles.
Was that the point of all this?
My point is, letting the names become disposable will only do the same to our pantheon of heroes as we know them. As the saying goes, you die two deaths. First when your body ceases to function, and the second when your name is spoken for the last time.
Chihiro. That's my name, isn't it?
Sin.
I can't believe I forgot my name. She almost took it from me.
If you completely forget it, you'll never find your way home.
If we've already decided that some heroes aren't worth naming, it raises the question, how much time do they have left?
Got a code name. Come on, man. It's an outlaw name.
Relax, Batman. It's cool to have a code name. It's not that weird.
It's me, the Crimson Bolt. The Red Skull has been indulged long enough.
Your doomsday.
Then he explained the name was the important thing.
I am Catwoman. Hear me roar.
Yeah, this is cool. Do you Revenges.
Revenges?
Isn't that a little derivative?
A rose by any other name would smell as sweet. Not if you called them stench blossoms.
Or crapweed.
Not sure I'd take out a dozen crapweeds for Valentine's Day. I'd rather have candy.
Not if they were called scum drops.
Poison. Poison ivy.
Not the Mandarin they'll remember. It's the name.
My name is Horace.
Internet? Calling him Ralph.
That's Mr. Freeze to you.
I'm Peter, by the way.
Doctor Strange.
Oh, you're using made-up names.
Only that you are to be known as Mrs. White.
The Wet Bandits. Wet Bandits. W.
Shut up! That's the coolest name ever!
Courtesy of Darkwing Duck. That's 2 words, not 3. Both these capitalized. Here's my photo. If the papers need more glossies, my number's on the card.